Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Chris, or better known as Political Expert. Um, so, I kind of want to talk about my Detroit Lions and what they've been doing in free agency, so on and so forth. The last couple years has been rough with free agents. We go out and we go get, Hulhui Nada, which was a nice setup at the time of losing Sue, but it wasn't what we exactly needed. I think Nada was just turning 30 years old, and it was rough for them to promote Halui Nada after we just lost Sue to a big old contract. And then we lost, Nick right after that, and it was just like, man, it's just going to be a bad year. And it wasn't so bad. I mean, Nada had some perks, but, there was an age and a slower kind of system. And then last year we went out and we got Anquan Baldwin, who was probably about 32, going to be 33 after we lose Calvin. And, the Lions, they love to do that to us Lions fans. They go out and they go get the oldest free agent with the biggest name, and they say, hey, look who we got, guys. And it's like, okay, they were cool in '07 and '08. That would have been nice at the time, but, we can't be happy all the time. But, Baldwin was a good pickup. He was a good addition. He pretty much was the veteran for Stafford, which Stafford needed, even though Stafford, I believe, Stafford took a huge push, even though it took him 8 years, something like that, to where, he finally became a leader. And I wish he would have done that a little sooner with Calvin. Just imagine what kind of level Calvin and him would have been on if Matthew would have pushed himself the way he did this season. I do believe in Bob Quinn. Most people are on this, oh, he's a Patriot, that's why. Well, the Patriot hype train, it's been nice, but, I'm just tired of all the hype. I believe Bob Quinn came to Detroit because, yeah, it's money, so he's going to get paid like a GM, but at the same time, the last couple GMs that we've had, it just seems like all they want is the money, and they're just trying to put something on the field for us fans to try to enjoy. But I believe in Bob Quinn. I really do. Unfortunately, he did come from the Patriots, so we have to live with that. But at the same time, we can sit there and we can go, okay, so we trust him to be the guy to push forward this team to be as good as the Patriots. I'm hoping that it's not just because of that. I hate that. Bob Quinn is a Lion. Bob Quinn is a Detroit Lion now. And we just got to look forward to that. Forget his past, forget what he's done over in New England, okay? Because let's just be honest, there's two guys that control that team, and it wasn't him. All right, so he's coming here new, fresh. It took a year to know what he finally needs for the Detroit Lions to at least make a push in the playoffs. I don't see them as good as these free agents that he's picked up. I just still don't see him as a contender. I mean, we still have to watch out for, unfortunately, we still got to watch out for Green Bay. They still have Aaron Rodgers. I don't care how old Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers is just going to be that good. At the same time, Minnesota, it was one mess up, and I don't think they're going to beat like what they were with Bridgewater, because who knows how long he's out for. They're saying that he could be out for another season with the knee thing. And, the Bears are just a mess right now. It looks like they're just going to start rebuilding and hope to God that, this Mike Glennon guy that was a backup, well, he was a starter and then he became a backup for Tampa Bay, could be the guy, because they let Brian Hoyer go, even though Brian Hoyer, I believe, is a better quarterback than Mike Glennon. San Francisco got a good, snag there. As much as Brian Hoyer is a journeyman, he's still a decent quarterback that can get you some wins. Mike Glennon, on the other hand, I just don't see it. The Bears, I see the Bears going 4 games, maybe 5, maybe 6 if they get real lucky. I believe the Lions can win 10 games this year. They weren't huge names, which I do enjoy. I love it when the Lions go out and they go get names that we need, necessities, and that's it. That's just what we need. And the first day before Thursday, we went out and we were going to pick up Ricky Wagner, the right tackle from the Ravens. And I don't believe he was the best tackle on the time, but I believe he's better than Reef. I really never was a Riley Reef guy. I'm kind of glad that Detroit just let him go. You know, we got the left side kind of situated out, except the left guard that we still need to figure out who's going to play left guard. But I do like Taylor Decker. I know he was a rookie and he got beat a couple of times, but at the same time, he's just going to get better. You know, and we got that kid. We got that guy Ricky Wagner. You know, he might be able to help out Taylor and put a little experience on that somewhat young O line. You know, at the same time that they're talking about going out to go get T.J. Lang. Right guard, so the whole right side will be completely done, and we won't have to worry about it. We can just focus on the other side of the ball. Who's going to play left guard, and who's going to be our starting center, and who's going to be the guy. And then we went out and we got Akeem Spence, defensive tackle, and Bob Quinn's system is let's find some people in the trenches. Let's just go out there. That's the only way we win games. And last year's pass rush was just awful. We had Hyder come out for the first 5 games, which was nice because we were just like, whoa, where'd this kid come from? What's his name? Where'd he come from? And then we had Ziggy come out for a couple games, and then all of a sudden he went down, and then Hyder started slowing down because they started double teaming him. Halui Nada went down, and then we got this kid Delvin Taylor, whatever his name is. He's garbage. Thank God the Lions let him go. Unfortunately, they won't give Ashawn Robinson any credit or let him start at least. And I think it was because he was a rookie, and I'm pretty sure they didn't start him for a reason. Maybe it was just he was a little slow, or he didn't understand the snap count, or he was still, not able to get past the big guards. But I believe that he's going to – sorry, guys, dropped my pen. But I believe he's going to start this year, which is good. I wish they would put the front four should be Hyder, Akeem Spence, Ashawn Robinson, and Ziggy, in my opinion. But most likely, knowing the Lions, they're going to throw Halui Nada back in there for some reason because he's a good run stopper. But they just won't give these young guys a chance. But let's hope for the best on that D-line. And then they got this kid, this guy, Cornelius Washington from the Bears. He's a veteran pass rusher on the outside, which is nice because it's depth, to help out Hyder, to help out Ziggy. If one of them goes down, he can fit that slot in. Then they got I'm probably going to mess his last name up, but Paul Wollerer. I gotta check to see how they pronounce his name. But he's a linebacker. What was the one thing that the Lions needed the most was a decent linebacker. We got rid of Levy. Thank God, because let's just be honest, okay? I'd rather have what did I heard someone say that I totally am going to steal right now? And it was perfect. I would rather have a Dodge that can go 100,000 miles than have a Lamborghini sitting in my garage that never runs. Okay. So, yeah, it's not the Lamborghini that we all want to use and drive around, but at the same time, it never runs. It never gets out of the garage. There's always something wrong with it where I have a Dodge that could pull its own weight. It's not pretty looking. It's not that fast, but it still goes. So, I believe in it. And Whitehead is good. And Williams is nice too. So, and hey, who's to say that we can't pick up another linebacker in the draft or even another one in free agency? We still got Zach Brown out there. We still got Alexander out there. There's a few linebackers that, Bob Quinn could still bring in. They won't be any younger than a few of them, but they'll be good depth. Because I believe at one time Miles Kilbrew, who's playing strong safety, and then he moved him to corner because our corner depth was awful. And then he moved him to linebacker, and I was just like, God, this is so bad. And then we went out and go get this guy, DJ Hayden, who actually had a horrific injury that was almost killed him. You guys should probably go check him out and see what that was all about. That was really scary to come out of the draft and then almost dying like that and then having to go through surgery. I remember watching him coming. I think he was a first-round pick for Oakland, and they were hoping that the speed that he had after the surgery would still be the same. I think like his first 2 years were not that great. Like his first year, he was getting burnt. Second year, he was getting better. But last year was his year. He started to show flashes that he could be a solid number two, but an excellent number three. And that's exactly what we need because Lawson and fucking Diggs are just. I watched like 5 games where I'm sitting there scratching my head going, how do these guys still have jobs? How are these guys still on this team? They're not that good. They're getting burnt. They're letting guys go by. Slay can't do everything. And then he got hurt, and I was like, well, there goes, 4 or 5 games, whatever time he's out. But now I believe that this kid, DJ Hayden, if he's just a little decent, he could be a solid number 2 to go with Slay. I believe they're going to put him on the other side, possibly a slot, because he's not that fast, but he can play the middle of the field instead of going out wide and going up against, like a Jordy Nelson or, I was going to say Ashton Jeffrey, but he's with the Eagles now. So more like, a Stephon Diggs, like you got to watch him and, other guys that we have to face this year. But like I said, I'm not believing in the hype just yet. I trust Bob Quinn to go in this draft. I think I should do a draft video on too, exactly on what they should draft and what they should look for in the draft, because there's a lot of questions like should they take O-line, but there's no good O-line there. Should they take a running back, but which running back do you take and which ones fall? Most of them might not even fall because there's a lot of people that could take a running back. Do we take another corner to help out with, the outside, which is a good possibility? Do we take a defensive linebacker because we still need more depth? Do we what else was it that they were looking at? Do we take another pass rusher that we could use? Should we move up in the draft to take a running back? I'll do a video about that, but I believe in Bob Quinn's system. I believe that we can make playoffs again with these free agents, even though they weren't studs and they weren't big names, like Ashton Jeffrey or Adrian Peterson or Jamal Charles. They're not huge names, but they're guys that fit in the system, that the weak points that we need that are needing depth, and we're fixing it. So I'm putting a lot into the Lions this year, only because I believe that we can make playoffs. I have to see what the first week, because it's always the first week for me on exactly what the Lions can do. At the same time, last year, I saw the Lions go up against the Colts, and everyone was like, oh, look at us, we beat the Colts. But at the same time, look how bad the Colts were this year. I think they finished like 8-8. That's awful. That's awful. That's like, in a division like that, it's just so bad, where the Texans beat you with Brock Osweiler. I mean, come on. But I do believe in the Lions. I do believe in Bob Quinn. I don't see them as a big-time contender this year, but I do trust Matthew. If Matthew can get back healthy, I do trust the O-line a lot better now, adding the addition of a solid, I think he's like 26 now, possibly 27, veteran on the right side that we can trust, to maybe grow up or maybe help out the O-line. I'm going to say that the Lions could go a possible of 10 games, possibly 11, and the 10 or the 11th game will depend on if we can beat Green Bay. If we can beat Green Bay, we could take the division. Chicago, I still believe that we could beat them twice. Minnesota, we could beat them twice, but most likely we'll split with that. I believe that we can beat Green Bay twice. I really do. Even though they had added Martellus Bennett and possibly looking to get a rookie or a different running back, because I think they're going to get rid of Eddie Lacy. I still believe that we could beat them. Their defense is still kind of shady. They did get Nick Perry back, but they lost Julius Peppers. Clay Matthews hasn't never been the same. They don't really have Clinton Dix is starting to look like a bust. I think Hyde is a free agent. They don't really have a corner, so I believe that we can beat them twice, even though I still think that we're going to split with Minnesota just because of Minnesota's defense, even though last year was kind of a fluke for us to beat them in their home stadium, but I still believe that the Lions can win 11 games to take the division. And I will say that the Lions could win a playoff game this year. Depending on who we have to play after the wild card game, or even if we make the wild card game, I still believe that the Lions are going to win a playoff game this year. I don't know if they'll win more than that, but I believe they'll win one. If we can win one, you can guarantee it that Caldwell, Bob Quinn will stay there, which is exactly what this team needs. They need a coach that has won in a playoff game, a GM that knows exactly what he's doing. We just, it's looking up. As much as these Detroit teams are starting to, the good old Pistons, they're starting to fade and they're starting to look like a mess. And then the Red Wings with the 25 years, or should I say just 20 years of straight playoff wins, and then the 5 years where they're one and done, they're starting to look like a mess. And then my poor Tigers, where there was this glory hitting and pitching days where we went to 2 World Series, in a span of 6 years where there was this playoffs, and now it's starting to show where age is catching up to the Tigers. But I do believe that this is the one team that we have in Detroit that could make a run. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna do a Detroit Lions draft on possibly people that they should be looking at or people that they can take in the rounds. Our draft picks are kind of bad this year. I think we have the 21st pick in the first round, and then we have a deep second rounder, and I think we only have 1/3, 1/4, and maybe 2 fifths, which is kind of shady. But it's just what we got to deal with right now until Bob Quinn can make adjustments or trade people to get more draft picks, because that's how the Lions win, is with draft picks. All right, guys, this is Political Expert reaching out to all you Detroit fans. Stay strong. I'm strong. I know there's a lot of people all over YouTube that are strong. A bunch of people I watch, hopefully they can, come back on me and exactly how they feel about how I said what the Lions could do and what do I think how I feel about these free agents. But like I said, it's not over yet. Maybe I could do an update on, how I feel about what the Lions are going to do. So thanks, guys. Please subscribe. Please comment exactly on what you want me to talk about. I'm all Detroit sports. I'll talk about other players and other sports too, but not as much as I love my Detroit teams and Michigan Wolverines. March Madness is coming up, and I'm really excited about that. But before, all right, I'm going to let you go because this is getting kind of long now of me dragging on. But you guys have a good day. Stay safe.